I was a third-year law student at St. Louis University, and I had an opportunity to work as an intern for legal services in the employment unit under Diane Taylor. Once I was out of law school and I was a practicing attorney, I continued to take on more pro bono cases. In 2007, Dan asked me to join the board of directors. And from 2018 until just this past June of 2022, I served as president of the board. I think the last 4 years have been the most rewarding and challenging for legal services. It has really tested our fortitude and our ability to serve our clients. We were able to protect our employees, our staff, but at the same time, we adjusted, we adapted, and we were still able to serve our clients properly and efficiently. So I'm really proud of that. I represented a woman in a protective order situation, and she was very young, very scared. And the day of the hearing, we sat together in the courtroom, and her ex-partner came, and a friend of his, who just coincidentally happened to be a deputy sheriff, came in and sat next to him. And she was just sitting there next to me, shaking and crying. And I tried to calm her down. I said, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. But I was, convinced that if an attorney hadn't been there, she would have been bullied into forfeiting her right for a protective order. And when it was all said and done, was all finished, she did get the protective order. And I realized how important that was, how important it was for me to be there. When I think of this event, the common good, that's what we're all doing. We're working toward the common good.
Hello, I'm Lowell Pearson from Blackwell. So this all started probably 3.5 years ago when I got a phone call from some folks who I'd worked with before. And they said, hey, would you like to work with us on putting Medicaid expansion on the Missouri ballot? And I, of course, immediately said yes. It was a project I was interested in. Little did I know that we were starting a 3-year saga that involved two cases on appeal, one to the Court of Appeals in Kansas City and one to the Missouri Supreme Court. This was an incredible coalition of people. There were throughout Missouri and in some cases outside Missouri who really believed that it was time for Medicaid expansion to be adopted in Missouri.
Hi, I'm Alex Cassette at Stinson. So after the initiative petition was passed into law, the legislative session started, and there was rumbling about whether or not this would face a legal challenge, and lo and behold, it did. So this team here, along with Joel Ferber at Legal Services, worked together to file litigation to put Medicaid expansion in motion.
I'm Mike Martinich daughter. I'm a partner at the law firm Blackwell. This was a fast-paced case. We were lucky that we had 3 legal teams who almost specialize in fast-paced, high-stakes constitutional cases. But even with that past experience, this was unique. But despite some late nights and a lot of emails exchanging drafts, this incredible team was able to put together, ultimately, a winning argument.
I'm Chuck Hatfield. I'm a partner at Stinson. And as Mike was just saying, we went to the Supreme Court on sort of an interesting theory. And I think one of the lessons we learned was sort of never give up on your arguments. We decided to stick to our guns and argue for what we thought was the correct interpretation of law, even though no court had really addressed it lately. And we ended up with a 7-0 Supreme Court decision, which I think we should be pretty proud of, because it shows that this was a legal issue that all of the justices or judges of the Missouri Supreme Court agreed on. So we're all very honored to be getting this award from Legal Services. We appreciated the opportunity to work with Legal Services. I think the other lesson is for folks that are working at big firms like ours, there are opportunities out there to get involved with things that really can make a difference, things that are interesting and part of public debate, and that are really going to help real people. So we're honored to have been able to do it.
Representative Lane Roberts had come to me and asked me if I would be willing to be his Senate sponsor for lifetime protection orders. And he had heard my story many times, and just the fact that my background, I grew up in domestic violence, drug abuse, traveling on welfare, and had to quit school at 15, had my first baby at 16, and, really worked my way out of poverty. And it's such an honor to be in the Missouri legislature, to be able to tell my story and work on legislation that helps people that grew up like I did. And so I was very proud to help Representative Roberts. This legislation allows a judge the ability, with the evidence, to say, look, this needs to be a lifetime protection order. We also were able to change the cyber stalking laws. And so being able to add into statute the web and the different ways that can be done is just vital to keeping up with the times and keeping up with domestic assault. We had testimony from several very strong women who have gone through this year after year. One that brought up a tub in of her evidence that she's had to take back year after year. And I believe she said at a cost of over $30,000 that she has spent just keeping her and her children safe. We also had the Missouri Coalition Against Domestic and Sexual Violence testify and really gave some great statistics and just absolutely showed evidence of how they've had to work very personally with many victims over the years. We had chairmen on both sides that absolutely got it and helped us get this through. So it was really a team effort, and very much appreciate the work of the General Assembly as a whole. It was absolutely bipartisan, and that's always just incredibly heartwarming, to be able to see that. So my time spent on this was incredibly rewarding to me, but to be able to help people that are struggling the way that my mother struggled and the way that I watched her struggle and I couldn't help, to be able to help now is just, there just really aren't words for it.
Our neighbors, our community, that's who we are focused on. We want to help them get stabilized back into housing. And when we say stabilized back into housing, we're not just talking about a roof over their head. We're talking about a way of life, because we want to be that gap to get people stabilized. In 2020 of April, we started the grab and go table. We set out hygienes, cleaning supplies, food, non-product, produce, anything that you probably could walk into any of your neighborhood grocery store, we have it on the grab and go table. Personally, Keep Pushing Inc. got to really work with legal aid assistance. When we was out helping people, working with St. Louis County, helping people understand their rights for being evicted, understand that we had a Montgomery out, that landlords could not just kick people out during this hard time, during this pandemic. They had rights. We was knocking on doors. We was letting people know this is your rights. We knocked on over 300 some doors to let people know. Agencies coming together and working together are stronger, because then we don't have to take on the whole weight of the community, of the people that we are serving. I do what I do because I was broken. I had pain. I went through something. But then I remember as a child, my mother, when she went through something, she pushed and she kept going. 2020 opened my eyes up to a whole lot of stuff. And 2020 reminded me that I need to go to my roots. After losing so many people, me being depressed, me being broken, me who didn't want to push, I had to go back to my roots. My roots was to take care of my neighbors. I wanted to use the knowledge that I went to school for, the knowledge that I had, all the training I've been through to give back to my neighbors and help them get through the roughest time. But come to find out, me doing that was helping me heal. It was hard, but every day I woke up and put that table out in my front yard, I got to meet a neighbor. I got to meet a new friend. I got to share my experience. So I always say, you broken, I'm broken, but if we bring our broken pieces together, we make one whole.
Park Central Development is a community development corporation that operates in 13 neighborhoods in the city of St. Louis. Our goal is to build urban, vibrant, equitable neighborhoods where all people can live, work, and play. Our mission and our focus that we're really focusing on right now is anti-displacement, as well as bridging the Delmar Divide. Had been working with Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard. We were sitting at a table, and it was the 2 days before the tax sale, and she kept getting calls saying, "Hey, we need help so we don't lose our home." And she looked at me and she said, "Abdul, we have to do something about this." So what happened is I went out and I raised the first $75,000 for what we called the Delmar Tax Relief Fund. And that's how the RETAF Coalition really began, and the work and a deeper partnership with legal services. And the RETAF program actually assists people who are behind on their taxes, on their personal property tax, and they are in danger of losing their owner-occupied home that they live in due to taxes. And once we help them to remove that judgment, then the next thing we do is we assist them with wraparound services, such as if they need some additional home repair, or if they need some title work done, or they need estate planning, or they need things of that nature. We look at the coalition of people, and with some of the services that legal services offer, Park Central and our partners over at Prosperity Connection, to make sure we can assist them and hit them in every area that they need to keep them very sustainable. I've seen the RETAF funding really make a big difference in the community. So at this point, we've saved over 50 homes within a 4-month period. And there are some great stories. There was one senior who was 75 years old who was in stage 4 cancer, and who was actually fighting cancer and was in the process of losing losing her home. So what I did is my staff, we went out and we began to work with this particular young woman, as I call her, to make sure that she had everything that she needed in order to apply for the program. And we were able to assist her while she was fighting cancer and stay in her home where she could recover and enjoy those golden kind of quality years of her life. So that's a very impactful story of how we've been able to work with legal services and the RETAF program coalition in order to impact people.
The Franklin County Community Resource Board started funding Legal Services of Eastern Missouri in 2017, specifically for working with youth 19 and under for guardianship. And basically, we also do other things as they come up. Since Legal Services has come on board, we have been able to get children permanency. And a child in limbo is a child in trauma and a child stressed out. When they actually know that they have some type of permanency and legal framework around them, it makes such a difference for that child and for that family. And that is what Legal Services really has done for us in Franklin County. We have a young lady who has bounced around the foster care system for many, many years. Her mother's in prison. Her father deals with substance use disorder, and she really wanted to find her family. And she is currently 17 years old, and she finally found a mentor and an adult and a family that she feels connected to and that she wants to be a part of. Because of her age, it's actually easier now to wait for her to turn 18 and to do an adult adoption. So I called John and explained the situation and said, can you guys help? Can you do an adult adoption? And he said, absolutely. So she will be turning 18 in December, and we have already got it rolling and in the works so that we're ready to go, so that for her 18th birthday, we could actually file.
So I practice family law, and so I have assisted with legal services in family law cases. And I've been doing that for probably about 12 years now. But in the past maybe 7 years, I've become even more involved with legal services. I always make a point to have at least one case at a time. I think it's really important to be able to give back that way. So I like to have one case at a time at least. I'm really lucky to work at a firm that really promotes and wants attorneys to be involved in pro bono work. I would say on average, I spend probably about, 20 hours or so per client. But it is a time commitment, but it's a time commitment that I am happy to give. I think pro bono services are incredibly important for our St. Louis community. And I think it's important for me to acknowledge that because I am in a position where I do have clients who are able to pay, I have the luxury of making sure that other people are taken care of. And I think that giving back to the community and making sure that everybody has access to the justice system and is able to utilize the knowledge of an attorney is really important, just for them to feel comfortable about what is happening. I think that providing pro bono services through legal services opens up doorways to people who might not have access to the justice system. And that really means a lot to them, to know that they have somebody who is looking out for their interests and who is there for them. It really is because I feel that everybody should have access to counsel. Of course, it makes me feel good to be able to help people, but whether that's someone that's paying me or someone who's not, I still know that I've helped them along the way.
The firm really encourages, especially junior associates, to dig in and get good pro bono work and to give back to the community. So I was able to do some work with orders of protection with LSCM. And during the pandemic, people really started thinking about what's going to happen if I'm sick, what's going to happen if I'm in the hospital, and who's going to be making these decisions for me. And so we were able to partner with Citibank and LSCM, and we were able to actually get out in the community and via Zoom and draft living wills and healthcare powers of attorney and even some beneficiary deeds to help people have some comfort, a little bit of comfort. So it was a great way for attorneys across the firm and all different groups, all different experiences to come together. We taught everyone how to do the power of attorney the day of, and we came together and were able to help a really large population of people who needed this service. It's been great to find different ways to get involved and find different ways to feel like you're giving back. And to get some experiences outside of what you typically do on a day-to-day. And it's been really good to see the variety of ways that LSCM and us as a firm and me as an attorney can give back and help. So I did not grow up well off at all. I definitely know what it is to know if something goes wrong, you can't afford a lawyer, you can't afford an attorney. And I think it's incredibly important as an attorney, as a person, to realize when there's a need like that to step up and step in and provide your expertise to the people who need it, so that there's never a time when someone can't access the justice system effectively and fully just because they can't afford to pay for it.
My first interactions with legal services, I really got started working with our Lasting Solutions unit. And so that was helping victims of domestic violence get orders of protection.
So I serve currently on the board of legal services. I've been serving on the board, I think, for now 4 years. We are extremely proud of our partnership with Legal Services. Pro bono is in our DNA at the firm, and at least certainly in the St. Louis office, this is one of our probably biggest commitments that we make to any single pro bono project. What's beautiful about this partnership is it's a two-way street, because we all get to learn from the very talented lawyers and staff at Legal Services about their particular elements, and then we in turn can provide some manpower, woman power, to help out on the lawyering side. So it's really a beautiful partnership. We treasure it greatly.
Most recently, I've been more heavily involved with the Neighborhood Vacancy Initiative. Stinson was one of the first 4 firms to partner with Legal Services for that effort. And so we really serve as sort of the main counsel for Hyde Park. It is super rewarding because the people from the neighborhood that are involved in the efforts are so passionate about their neighborhood. And so it really motivates you to want to help more because, they're also doing this on a volunteer basis. And so you kind of feed off that energy of they're so passionate about doing this work for their own neighborhood. And so it makes you more ready, willing, and able to help them in their efforts. So for me, when I'm doing pro bono work, it's usually a break from the typical work that I do. It's something completely different. And it just makes you feel good. You know that you're helping people. You know that you're really making a meaningful impact in their life. And you're offering services that they otherwise would not have access to.
When I say pro bono is in the DNA of our firm, we really mean it. And the firm expects people not just to talk, but walk the walk. Every year, the firm awards a ribbon to those who have met our pro bono requirements. Everyone proudly displays those ribbons on the window outside their offices. And when there's an office that doesn't display a ribbon, it's conspicuous.
I think one of the most important things that I can do is explain a narrative about a person's life so that an eviction story isn't just about a mean old landlord putting somebody out on the street, but what a single mom's life is really like and how important that roof is in her life and how one negative situation, a lockout or ending up on the street can lead to homelessness. A couple of months ago, I went with Robert Swearingen to an apartment complex north of St. Louis and interviewed 3 folks who were having problems with the landlord there. And when I wrote about their plight, fairly shortly thereafter, the apartment manager was fired, and at least some changes were made so that folks who wanted to stay in their apartments could do so. That's the goal, is to make change. It's important for people who read the Post-Dispatch to see how some of their neighbors are living, and to see how unjust some elements of our society can be, because a lot of us don't experience the criminal justice system. A lot of us don't experience what eviction actually looks like. And it's important for the entire community to see this is what life is like in a part of the city that you don't spend much time in. Every time I write a story about somebody who is in a tough situation, it is an amazing feeling to sit with one of those clients and see how much better they feel knowing that they have an advocate working for them, knowing that they have somebody from Legal Services who steps up and says, what happened to you is wrong, and we're going to be here by you. We're going to stand by you. And that's a really important role for folks to take.